like to call the Town of Rocky Hill Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of March 15th, 2023 to order. First item on the agenda is the public hearing, is the continuation from the last meeting. For today, the sitting members, Commissioner Glico, I think, I don't know where.
Guys, according to my new rule, you three guys
Right.
and us two. But we have to.
Yep. Commissioner Hussey, Commissioner
Morhurst.
Morhorse, Commissioner Robbins.
We've only been doing this for 10 years.
Who's going to read? He threw me off today.
A motion to open the, reopen the public hearing for a special permit site plan application for JMM Properties LLC proposing to convert an office building to a mixed-use building. I guess that's all we need to read. Finish the whole thing?
Yeah, then at least we can, yeah.
Office and 59 apartments, studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom with 10% affordable. Excuse me, with associated site improvements for property located at 1344 to 1360 Silestine Highway in an RC commercial zone, recessed from February 15th for Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency decision.
Thank you.
Second?
Can we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Applicant, do you have? Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Attorney Eric Parker again for the applicant. I have John Wicko, the architect here, as well as Robert Rolls from BL Companies, the engineer. We did get our wetlands approval, which is why the continuation. So that happened and is now all set on that condition. There are some revisions to the plan, which were provided to the town on February 28th by BL Companies. Minor things, mostly things that you all asked about during our previous session. The fire department connection is now shown on the survey. It's where the property owner thought it was, but we actually, I believe Mr. Rolls drove out there that night after our hearing to confirm it. It's now on the plan so that it can be seen. We showed that the generators are being removed in the demo plan, which was part of the plan the whole time, but just wasn't indicated. Some minor sidewalk things, a bike rack is moved, and we did add a double row of silt fence, which was a wetlands request, but not a condition of approval. They thought that would be good, and we had no objection to it, so we made that modification. Those are the only things that changed from when we presented to you, I guess a month ago now. And otherwise, if you have questions, we have the professionals here to answer them. Otherwise, we'll just stand on our presentation from last time.
Anyone in the public who like to address to the commission? Anyone in the public who like to address to the commission on this proposal? Seeing none, Commissioner Glico, any questions?
I just wanted to confirm that there was going to be screening on the mechanicals on the roof.
The current, I think we addressed it last time, the current envelope of the building comes up high enough, and that is not going to change, that they will be hidden behind the facade.
Are you saying the existing or the current?
The
design?
existing.
The existing.
I'll let Mr. Wicko address it.
Good evening, John Wicko, 58 Prospect Street, the architect in Milford. The existing unit, there's either one or two for the 5th floor will remain, and there is a screen up at the top. They're large units, so I did look, and you do see the top of them from a distance. All of the new units for the residential are very small, like residential air conditioning condensers. They're going to be on the roof also. But they're so small, the screen completely covers those.
So there's no additional screening?
Nothing is proposed, right?
Okay.
The screening is up there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hussey?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Morhorse?
I'm all set.
Commissioner Robbins?
Set. All set.
Commissioner Brescia?
All set?
All right. I don't have either. Motion?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Going on to item 2, public hearing, item A. You wanna-
Okay. Public hearing, item A, special permit application, Joseph Kim proposing a restaurant of approximately 3,140 square feet with 37 seats for a portion of the property formerly occupied by a consignment shop and grocery store located at 2162 Silas-Dean Highway in a C Commercial Zone District ID 10-005.
Right. Do we have applicant?
Yes, hi. My name is Joseph, and I represent Kettle Bagels, proposing for a restaurant at that site, basically for a bagel shop, bakery, but also going through with lunch and dinner times.
I think this is a special permit, so if you can go through the special permit criteria. Do you have a copy of that?
Copy.
Read through it.
Yeah, you can just read through right from the special permit criteria. Item A.
From what I wrote?
Yeah, from what, yeah.
Yes, okay. So approximate 3140 square feet, location as depicted in the site plan schematics. The entryways in and out are shown on the site plan as well, and the street, the Silas-Dean Highway. Suitable location fees. The proposed use, we believe, will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district. The landlord is happy that we would be going into his plaza, as it would only appreciate his overall value, not diminish it at all. B is all non-applicable. C, the proposed use would not cause an increase of traffic congestion or unsafe traffic conditions. As depicted in the site plan schematics, parking is more than ample enough for the entrance, exit drives, with 2 of them, and are of adequate size. Everything else is non-applicable.
All right. Anyone in the public who would like to address to the commission on this proposal? Yeah. From here.
Hi, my name is Pam May, and I live in the Shipments Crossing condos that are right in back of where the proposed, I didn't know it was a bagel shop. In fact, I just got this letter in the mail. I really didn't know anything about it. There was a mention of a liquor license. There was a mention of outdoor dining. I didn't know if that was still on the table or not.
Definitely not liquor, and there's no outside dining.
Oh, okay. Well, then that kind of satisfies me, because we didn't know what was going in there. We didn't know if it was a restaurant. Would there be outdoor dining? Would there be, because it said they could be open till 11 o'clock at night. And there's quite a few of us that live over there, so we were concerned about the noise. But you did answer my question.
So I like to, you can address to the commission, and I think if you can raise your concerns, and then probably it would be good if you can provide confirmation of those things.
Okay.
Because we don't want to have, record where it's not complete record of what your understanding is and what the responses are. So if you
I
can
guess-
just go through your,
Yeah, my concern or my question was, is there outdoor dining? Because there was a mention of it here. Would there be a liquor license? It sounds very different, though, from what I had seen in what was sent to me in the mail. It sounded more like it was going to be a restaurant with outside dining. We didn't know if there was going to be music, so we did have some concerns. And that's really are my questions.
all right, thank you.
I think there may have been a little confusion because that's another item on the legal notice that was sent
Oh,
The
okay.
abutters, the outdoor dining regulations are
Yep.
just separate item.
Hello, my name is Ralph Perna. I'm the owner of 2192 Celestine Highway. It's the Mariella Creations building. My only concern would be the parking and what 37 seats would be the minimum for parking space there. I know they have a lot of parking, but in that whole area, we have an easement that goes in and out with Ace Beauty Supply and all that, so it can get chaotic there, especially at night when it's dark. So that's my only concern is parking.
All right, thank you. Anyone else who would like to address the commission? I think you can address the concerns that were raised, so,
Yes, no, there definitely will not be any type of liquor involved with our type of business. It's a typical deli/bagel type operation. I think the hardest thing that we have is a kombucha drink. So that's, I think that's like 0.1 alcohol content. But anyways, as for outside music, no, definitely not. We don't even have outside dining there, and we don't plan to. The business that we do is primarily pick up and take out. I would say that's probably an easy good 50%. Another 30-40% are deliveries, and another the last few percentages is just the dine-in. The second gentleman, where he was asking if there would be some issues maybe with the parking. As you can see on the site plan, I don't know how many parking spots there are there. There's probably over 50 that I can see. But again, the business is just grab and go. I planned for the 37 seats, but I don't think I've ever seen any of my other locations. I have 2 other locations in Southington where we've ever been filled. I have the 37 seats on the plan, but who knows if I would reduce it or not. And if that needs to be, that's also fine with me when it comes down to the planning and zoning.
all right, thank you. Commissioner Hussey or Aglico?
A couple things here. Trash.
Yes.
You're not showing it on here.
Trash.
Dumpster?
I believe they're behind the building.
So is that going to be like the whole plaza uses one dumpster, or is it, you're going to have your own location?
From what I understand, it's a shared dumpster. I have to confirm that with the landlord. I haven't obviously been a tenant there. But if need be, we can get our own, which picks up once or twice a week.
No, I just didn't, I guess I'm questioning because you might have oils and other stuff to dispose of, so.
Yes, there will
what's
be
your-
oils, but we do have a recycling company that we've been working with at both of our existing locations.
So would that be stored outdoors or indoors?
That would be stored outdoors.
Okay, that's I guess what I was questioning, because I don't see an area where it's delineated.
Oh, I didn't know I needed to show that part. I'm sorry.
What was my other question? The gentleman mentioned the easement. Is that the shared driveway on the south side of the property? But there's two entrance and exits, so there shouldn't be like bottlenecking on one driveway. You have a north, this property has a north entrance as well, an exit? Okay. Just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Commissioner Hussey?
Just a few questions. I know you mentioned you have 2 other two other stores, one in Southington, one in Plantsville.
Yes,
What's
sir.
the size relationship from those stores to this one? Larger, smaller, comparable?
No, this one would definitely be larger. Each of my existing locations, well, one is almost 1,600 square feet. The other one's almost 1,800 square feet. This one here is a bit larger. It's because that, I guess the best way to explain it is making a bakery, a production center, towards the backside of the restaurant. So if you see the, I think you may have the picture
Yep.
of a general layout, proposed layout.
And given that, I'm assuming deliveries would be more conducive for the rear of the building, is that correct? For any goods that are coming in,
Oh, yes, 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 of course.
all the deliveries are to the rear of the building?
Right.
How many employees do you anticipate for an operation of this size, since it's larger than your other two?
The same.
Same as the
Same, when I
others?
mean the same, I would say 2 counter people, 2 kitchen people, and that's excluding anyone that's producing the actual bagels. That would only need 1, 2 on the weekends. So 6, maybe a 7th as a part-timer on the weekends. That's about all.
Okay. And how about hours of operation? Do you know already what you're anticipating?
Retail hours, 6 to 9, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
And that's every day?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Mahos?
Okay. Let's say, once this is approved,
Yes, sir.
how soon would you be working on, fitting out the building and actually getting into operation? Is it a long process?
It would be a little long, yes, because the existing tenants they're still there, actually. The consignment shop and I think it's called the Euro Grocer. There's the Euro Grocer, from my understanding, is moving into another building, and the consignment shop, that would be 2 months from, I don't know the exact date, but
So you're not going to be,
so
Be moving
the
there.
earliest we can start would probably be 2 months, 3 months,
okay.
if, yeah.
Okay.
And
the
then
reason I'm
another 2
asking
months to,
is that I'm thinking of possibly suggesting that we recess this after everyone gets their questions and have you clarify the dumpsters and the trash so that we know in advance before we approve it, what the arrangement is for trash.
for the
That wouldn't
trash.
delay your operation at all.
Okay,
I'm asking, wouldn't,
I'm sorry.
would it delay your operation at all? Since the other people aren't going to be out for another 2 months.
In a small sense, yes, because of the fact that he cannot give, when I say he, the landlord, give any notice for one of the tenants until he knows that it will pass here. So legal documents and anything cannot start until then.
I see.
Also, the ordering of some of the larger mechanicals, they take between 2 to 3 months, and any delay can, and especially going deeper into the season, spring, summertime, it could also lengthen the deliveries of those goods.
Okay. I don't see an issue with the trash. I just thought it would be helpful to clarify it. But if it's going to screw up your schedule, then we'll talk and see how everyone else feels. But that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Mr. Robbins?
Mine are just some minor technical questions, and typically, and this one's a little confusing because you already have a pre-approved building with X number of parking spaces. The only difference here is we're seeing a change in use, which might have a greater intensity associated with what was originally approved. So I would just say my concern here is just to validate how you know you have enough parking spaces based on the proposed use. And that kind of has to be done together with your landlord too, based on his prior approval on how they came up with the requirements for the entire place, based on the uses that were proposed at that time. So I would just, and it could be a condition of approval, but just to validate that based on what's being proposed, because 37 chairs is quite a bit, and that could generate a number of cars, and then people running in out in addition to the takeout. So we just want to make sure you have enough parking on a technical basis, right?
I did go through the numbers based on the information provided in the application, and based on Section 7B, our requirements for restaurants, similar type uses, 21 spaces would be required. And on the application, the portion of the site plan submitted, that would be the whole front area, basically not just the tan box that's shown there, but there's 21 spaces shown there in front of those units where he would be occupying.
Yeah, I counted that up. That looked like 42. So that would be half of the front. And then you have some spaces on the side when I added.
The retail spaces are less intensive, have less requirement,
Yeah.
four per 1,000 square feet, and they're relatively, 4,000 square foot unit and then a smaller unit next to it.
Yeah. So my concern with an approval tonight would just be that maybe as a condition of approval, we validate
I think-
with town review, that they just validate that
So,
that's.
so if I'm hearing correctly, Dave has already done that exercise based on the other usages and based on our requirements.
Right, the other uses there are retail.
Right.
So comparing retail, and then we have a restaurant-type use.
Okay.
Using that, it appears to be adequate.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you
All
have
right.
done, yeah.
All right.
So that's.
So, all right. So, and then the other, we heard about the waste oil storage. Usually that's a small square container that doesn't take up too much space. Again, that could be a condition of approval. The only other thing too, and again, just for validation, because we didn't hear anything about signage, but we just want to make sure your signage conforms with our signage requirements.
No signage has been proposed.
No signage has been proposed? Okay. But there will be a sign eventually, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. And that's all I had.
Mr. Bishop?
Will you have handicap parking in front of your doors?
Yes. I believe there may be some already, but,
There's some, but not, I don't think directly in front of that, like how,
right. So, I mean, whatever needs to be done, I'm sure the landlord will help me out with that there.
okay. And also curb cuts and stuff for easy access for wheelchairs and stuff, curb cuts, like just the cut down.
I believe they're there.
Are they there already?
I believe they're there already.
Okay. All right, I didn't see that. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you. So I see you said this would be like a production center. So is that just for this particular site, or it will be for other locations as well?
To supply my other two locations and possibly others.
Okay,
Yes.
so you will have more than the current location that you're planning?
Yes, but when the production and the deliveries, those are during all times in the mornings, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It's there's no noise. It's just.
How about the exhaust systems and things like that in the kitchen?
We'll be using a Type 2 and a Type 1 hood. Type 1 for the regular heat exhaust, heat and condensate. Type 2 would be anything for grease. But we would be working with the building department and the health department to make sure that we have the appropriate equipment installed.
So it won't be going through the roof or
No, not through
outside?
the roof. Even the landlord didn't want me to do that. So that's why if you see on the site plan, the kitchen is the back door. So that's the back of the plaza, and all the in dark gray is the I would say
The hoods.
grill and the hood area.
Okay.
So he wants to exhaust it out the back wall. So that goes that way, yeah. We're going to be using top-of-the-line baffle system and all, so there's no grease emission, almost no, what would you say, just smell in general. It just
And this will be like either dry or wet system for fire?
whatever the town requires, yeah.
So you said there won't be any outdoor seating, so
No.
we do have outdoor seating regulations and things like that, so you are not proposing that even in the future, you are not planning for any outdoor seating?
No, because the way that the sidewalk is situated, it's just not possible.
So just want to make sure that in the future, when request comes in, that it's clear that there won't be any outdoor seating.
Hold on.
I think that's what I had. Thank you.
I think I know what she's going to ask. I have a question.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on your hours of operation? You stated 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock, but then you stated 3 a.m.
Well, when I said 6, I said those are the retail hours, 6 a.m. to 9.
So what are your operating hours?
The operating, it wouldn't be as early as 4 at this time, but it could be 3 a.m., and it could be as late as 10 for cleanups and all.
What about deliveries?
Deliveries of
Say
our goods?
right, or for you to be delivering stuff out of there.
Oh, if we're delivering anything out of there, it would be roughly around 4:30, 5. In terms of deliveries in, it's only during the regular, well, they say regular operating hours, but most of those type of, they only want to do like 9 to 5.
Right, so I guess one of the concerns is noise after midnight or 10 o'clock. If there's
Right.
going to be, if you're still operating 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Right. There's the loudest noise would be the Type 2 hood, if anything, and that's usually drowned out with regular ambient sounds and noises. The Type 1 hood is just a regular exhaust, which is just condensate and just for hot air. That would be for the ovens. All the ovens are inside, and any noise that's made is inside the store. There would be no sound actually
Okay.
coming from the building. The biggest sound would be maybe someone dropping a pan outside of by the truck. But that's not gonna.
Okay.
All right, you can.
Thank you for all that information. I think as I'm listening to this, it
If-
sounds
if
more
you
like
can,
a large commercial concern for us, trucks coming in at night, loading and unloading in the back. We all reside on the other side, right, on the other side of the fence. It sounds like there's going to be a lot more traffic coming in and out than I had imagined, because they're supplying their bagel shops in other parts of the state. So that raises a concern, and you did address some of the noise is my concern at night, in the middle of the night, as it is when they empty the dumpster at 3 a.m. in the back. You know, we all hear it. So we would hear diesel trucks perhaps in the back, because that's, all the deliveries would be, I assume, in the back of the property, abutting our properties. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think it looks like the hours of operation, and when we say operation, it's like when your doors are open, either for delivery or, you know, for you know, customers. So it's from 3:30 to 10, 11 when you close, right? I mean, that's your time frame where operations will be happening.
Deliveries will never be made in the evenings, if that's what you mean.
So
The
it would
early
be-
morning hours, with her concern, I understand. It's only one truck, it's our truck. That truck is large enough, and when I say truck, it's a van, actually. It's just a high-top van. That's more than ample enough to supply 10 stores. It's just a regular, like I said, regular van, so it's not even a diesel sound or a large truck sound to it at all. The garbage, that I cannot control when they pick up or when they do not. That would be more noise than anything that we could ever produce in that shop. All it is at nighttime, when I say nighttime, 3 or 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's just loading up. It's just opening up from the back door, just loading it up, and literally just leaving. And then let them deliver what needs to be delivered, and then they just return and just park the van, and just rinse and repeat.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone else? Yep.
Is there a possibility of, when you have your people loading for the morning at that 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 a.m., can they go to the front and load?
Yes, they could. Yes, they could.
Because that might eliminate some of the backup noises or the backup alarms of the vehicle or the vehicle pulling in. Maybe that would be better if it's out front. I don't know. I'm just.
Yes, that's the way that the store is situated. There's 2 front doors, double doors, and one of the double doors leads to another double door, which is going into the kitchen. So that can be rolled straight out towards the front. Yes, that could be.
Because maybe that could be a compromise. Make sure you get automatic doors in the front then.
Oh.
All right. No further questions. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Can I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 2B. It's the,
Do you want me to read this whole thing?
no, I think 2B is this much.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking
2B.
at C. Public hearing item 2B, zone change application proposing to change the zone on the following properties from a C commercial zone to an RC regional commercial zone. Excuse me if I
Piyush.
mess up the name. Piyush.
Yep, Peter.
Peter Patel, doing business as Travelers Motor Lodge General for 1760 Silas Deane Highway, ID 04-436. Ron Lyman, President of REL Incorporated for 24 Sutton Road, ID 04-440. 26 Sutton Road, ID 04-547, and 1750 Silas Deane Highway, ID 04437, and Ron Lyman, member of Sam Center LLC for 1610 Silas Deane Highway, ID 04439, and 1720 Silas Deane Highway, ID 04-438.
Thank you.
A lot of IDs.
For the record, my name is Peter Alter. I'm a lawyer. I practice law in Glastonbury with the firm of Alter and Pearson. We appear tonight on behalf of the applicant, or applicants, for a zone change property on the easterly side of the Silas Deane Highway, seeking a change from commercial to regional commercial. Also here tonight is Kevin Johnson of Close Jensen and Miller and Ron Lyman, the owner of all of the property except the Motor Lodge property. We have provided some maps just to get everybody oriented. The site is outlined on the first plan, which is a Google map view of the site so that you can generally understand the location of the property relative to the I-91 entry and exit ramps, relative to the Silas Deane Highway, Marshall Road. The rear of the property is adjoined by a R20 zone, single-family residential subdivision that ends in two streets, as shown on the plan. At the moment, the map plan shows the existing zones in the area. The darker color is the regional commercial zoning that exists along the Silas Deane Highway. The lighter pink is existing commercial zone, again, as shown. And the uncolored portion is R20 residential zone property. We're bounded on the north, as I indicated, by I-91 entrance and exit ramps. Westerly is both commercial and regional commercial zone properties. Southerly is regional commercial and commercial zone properties across Marshall Road from the site. And then to the east is the R20 single-family residential development that's accessed by way of Old Main Street, and the smaller residential roads that exist there. The proposal we make really comes about through a variety of circumstances. Some commission members were members of the commission when we brought forward a proposal to create a restaurant and hotel on the site. That proposal was eventually approved with modifications by this commission, and then became part of a stipulated judgment that the town and Mr. Lyman's entities entered into, and that was in October of 2020. Most of you will remember, as I do, that March of 2020 was the beginning of the what was referred to as the stay safe, stay at home direction from the state of Connecticut due to the pandemic. And the two industries that were most immediately and intensely affected by the pandemic were the hospitality industry, such as a hotel, and the eat-in, sit-down service restaurant were really the second most impacted industries by way of the pandemic. Everyone stopped traveling. Business travel came to a halt, and people did not want to populate eat-in restaurants where there was a full-service menu. The only restaurant businesses that survived were those that would deliver or did takeout or had drive-through facilities. And unfortunately, the plan that was approved by this commission and proposed by Mr. Lyman contemplated those two uses, neither of which has gone forward through today. Hospitality industry and the restaurant industry are both recovering very slowly. And the potential tenants or users of those two properties simply have not been able to go forward through the present date. So in trying to make the best possible use of this property, what is proposed is an expansion of the uses that might be available on the site. Regional commercial allows several more uses than the straight commercial zone does. The compromise that we make in seeking the regional commercial is that a site to be eligible for development as a regional commercial property must consist of 1 acre. Your commercial zone only requires 20,000 square feet for development, and building height in the commercial zone is a 45-foot limitation. In the regional commercial zone, it's a 35-foot limitation. So Mr. Lyman recognizes that the buildings cannot be built to 45 feet, but he also recognizes that it may offer other opportunities for site development. And of course, we understand that any other proposal that we came back with that was different than what has already been approved would require our presentation of a special permit and site plan approval process, just like we went through 3 years ago, so that this commission is not, tonight, if you see fit to approve the zone change, you're not approving any particular use. It would be our responsibility and our obligation to come forward with a plan that satisfies your requirements in order to propose a different use than that which is already approved. In accordance with your zoning regulations, we must present to you information that is consistent with the goals and purposes of your plan of conservation and development. Specifically, your 2015 plan spells out business development goals and purposes, and we believe that we satisfy those goals and purposes by this proposal. Specifically, at page 64 of the Plan of Conservation and Development, the plan seeks to make effective use of land zoned for business development. We think that this proposal offers greater opportunities for an effective use of the land that is currently zoned commercial but would benefit from being regional commercial. And the second purpose that is to manage the Silas Deane commercial corridor, moving away from strip development, which we certainly would do, and promoting the consolidation of parcels and shared access and parking. As indicated by the call, all of Mr. Lyman's parcels would be merged and consolidated with a single entry point off the Silas Deane Highway. So that both of those goals are served by our proposal, we believe. In addition to that, under section 9.f.3.3 of your regulations, it prescribes the deliberation that you should go through in terms of determining whether an application for a zone change is appropriate or not. The first one is whether or not it meets the goals of the Plan of Conservation and Development. I've already spoken to that. That it would allow suitable uses for the location. And as I indicated, subject to special permit and site plan approval, we believe that the regional commercial zone offers greater flexibility for uses that would be suitable for the location. We believe that a development under the regional commercial zone does not present any adverse effects on public health, safety, or property values. and in fact may allow a less intensive use, depending on the user that Mr. Lyman can find. It may be that there would actually be a lesser development on the site because it presents greater opportunities for a greater range of development possibilities. And finally, that it will attain the purposes of zoning, specifically as spelled out in your regulations at Section 1B2, orderly growth and development in accordance with the Plan of Conservation and Development, and to promote the appropriate use of land. We think that providing a property owner with development possibilities, always subject to your control through the special permit process, makes the most sense to allow for the orderly development of the property. If you saw fit to approve the zone, then you would have regional commercial zoning consistently on both sides of the Silas Deane Highway, except for those really small parcels that were created a long time ago and have separate uses along the Silas Deane, where the properties really aren't, unless they were all merged together by acquisition, have been developed as separate parcels. We think that it certainly demonstrates that this would be a consistent zoning plan, another test of whether a zone change is appropriate or not, as we find in Section 8-2 of the Connecticut General Statutes. So that I think that it's obvious from this plan that it would certainly satisfy a general overall plan of zoning and development within this part of the commercial corridor, the Silas Deane Highway. We are not asking, nor do we seek approval of any particular use. As I indicated, that would all be part of subsequent applications. If that kind of use presented itself, we would have to come back to you for a full-blown public hearing in that regard. I did want to mention, Mr. Chairman, that I gave Mr. Pomberg evidence of the mailing for the public hearing, and he's got that as part of the record. So that I believe all of the public notice requirements were satisfied. Happy to answer any questions that the commission may have or respond to concerns expressed by the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody in the public who'd like to address to the commission on this particular proposal? Going second, anyone else you'd like to address to the commission? Yeah.
Just here. Oh,
Yeah, there's somebody, yeah.
oh, there is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name's Janice Dombrowski, and I'm 17 Sutton Road. Am I too short for this? Okay. Thank you. I'm just wondering is, when these are shown, if they can also be turned towards the audience so that we have an idea of what areas are being mentioned and looked at. It can be after the fact. It doesn't have to be, it can be now. But you don't object? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the plan that shows the current zoning. The lighter pink is commercial zone, and the darker red color is the regional commercial. That's what exists right now. change were approved, it would look like this. So that the darker red again is regional commercial, and the lighter pink is general commercial. So the change would be to the approximately 4.5 acre parcel that includes the Motor Lodge and the Lyman property. Commission may remember that a substantial, the Lyman property is much bigger than 4.5 acres, but we've already agreed and committed to a conservation easement in perpetuity for all of the piece that winds around all the way back to Old Main Street. So that hasn't changed, and we're not asking for a zone change for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that? Okay.
Walk up there?
Yes, please, yes.
You can all hear me from the back.
My name's Paul Gabala. I live at 28 Marshall Road. I'm just wondering about the traffic. Where are they going to get in and out? If this development is built, how is somebody going to get to take a left turn out of that property to go south on the Silas?
So,
Right.
so right now, this is just a zone change. As you heard, we don't have any development to comment on. So what will happen is, depending on what happens with the zone change, in the future, they will come back with the proposal. Like you may recall during last
I wasn't involved in the last
Okay, so I think people may recall a couple of years ago, there was a proposal that came and everybody had a chance to look at it, comment on and all that. So right now, there is no requirement for a development, it's just a zone change. So, unfortunately, we can't get into access and egress and all that because we don't know what the development is, so.
Why did Taco Bell need the zone change to commercial, whatever they got?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I can't get into that. I mean, today we are discussing this particular
Okay, I was just wondering,
section,
because
so-
now nobody coming down Marshall Road
Yep.
during the daytime can even turn right on red anymore, because everybody coming into Taco Bell wants to take a left out of there now. And you might not even get through in a light cycle right now,
Yep.
unless you
Yeah,
cut
that's-
through Peter Patel's property.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, that's a different
And we all got
application.
garbage on our lawns now, thanks to
Right.
Taco Bell. But-
Yep.
All right.
I
that's it
think
for now.
what you can
Not
do
the
is.
appropriate time, I'm good with that.
Right, what I can offer is, you should talk to our zoning officer, and if there is something that's going on that was not approved, town can look into that as part of that particular business. But today, we are discussing a different applicant, so,
All right.
thank you. Any other questions on this proposal? All right, seeing none, I'll go to the commissioners. Commissioner Glico?
I guess this question is more for staff. There's an existing permit for the hotel and restaurant use on that I assume got extended because of COVID.
Correct.
Extended 20 years?
Yes, I believe it's about 19 years it works out to, with all the extensions that were built into the executive orders.
So how does this zone change request affect that permit, that existing approved permit?
I'd have to look into further, but it was approved under a commercial zone. Restaurants and hotels are permitted in both the regional commercial and commercial. So as far as the previous uses that were approved by special permit, those would still be valid.
So it will be just those uses
They're
that
permitted in
were
both
approved.
zones, right.
Right.
So, okay, that answers my question.
Okay. Commissioner Hussey?
Yes. Attorney Alter, just one quick question for you. Obviously, we're talking about the parcel you had mentioned there could be the possibility of the different parcels merging together. It looks like there's maybe a 20-foot, maybe a 50-foot. Is that an easement that kind of divides the property almost in half? It looks like it kind of looks like it starts up off the Silestine Highway, right at the north corner of property 4.
Looks like a driveway.
Yeah, it almost looks like a driveway. Just kind of curious, there's no notation on the map as to what it is, and it doesn't show, sure. That's all right.
Showing this.
This right here. Dotted out.
Oh, I do know what that is.
Okay.
I think that's a Northeast Utility.
That's, the MDC has a
Sewer easement.
line that goes right through the site. It's one of their main
Trunk.
service trunk lines that goes, then ends up down on the other side of Main Street where the pump station is.
So it's kind of an easement that divides the property almost in half.
And not to go back too far into ancient history, but part of the approval that we had last time included the fact that that line would be relocated as part of the development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All set.
You, Commissioner Morales?
Just to clarify, if we were to approve this change, the building height would go, acceptable building height would go from 30 feet to 45 feet? Did
No,
I-
the other way.
The other way. So in other words,
45 to 35.
that's why I'm asking for.
Yes.
So in other words, right now, you can build a 45-foot building.
Correct.
I think that's what the hotel was originally
Commercial zone.
going to be
I,
called.
I think that as part of the stipulation and agreement that
That it was gonna be
settled, that it came down.
Mhm.
And so we would be bound by the 35-foot regional commercial zone. I agree with Mr. Palmberg that because both uses are permitted
Mhm.
in the zone, they're still approved.
You could wind up doing the same thing
Correct.
if it comes out. Okay. So that would be the major difference for the people that live around the area is that
They
the
would
buildings
be-
will not be taller, they could possibly be shorter.
That's correct.
That's the only concern I had, so.
Not have the potential for a 45-foot building height would be gone.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay, I'm fine with that then.
So that was
Comments?
my question, so
Gotcha.
that we got that answered. And then the only other difference that you called out was that it would open it up to fast food and car washes and
Correct.
maybe a couple other things.
There's I think there's one other. The principal ones are fast food and a car wash are permitted in regional commercial, not in general commercial. Maybe there's one that has site plan approval in one but requires special permit and site plan approval in the other. So I marked them, but.
Looks like
Yeah, I
car
think
car
so.
sales is.
Car sales.
That's- Yeah.
Used and new.
Automotive car sales permitted in regional commercial.
Somebody
I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner,
I'm good.
you good? All right, so it looks like the intensity is going to go, will be a little lesser, and the only addition of the new uses would probably be automotive sales of or new use automotive and the car washes, right?
Fast food.
Or drive.
Fast food
With a drive-through, yeah.
is gone, right? Yeah, fast food restaurant, is not in commercial.
No, but it would be in regional commercial,
Yes.
right?
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Yep.
Motion to close public hearing?
Thank you very much for your time.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, now I've got to read this long one. Okay, item 2C, public hearing, proposing zone regulation amendment, Town of Rocky Hill, proposing to add section 4C28, permitted accessory use to restaurants for several non-residential zones. 4C28, title is outdoor dining and beverage service as an accessory use to a licensed restaurant. Paragraph A, all outdoor dining and beverage service areas are considered to be accessory uses to an established food use after approval of a zoning permit by the zoning enforcement officer, noting any and all conditions of approval and recording the permit on the land records. Paragraph B, requests are to be written with a letter of permission from the property owner, sketch plan of the proposal showing seating, table placement, methods of separation of vehicular traffic and dining area, waste receptacles, building ingress and egress, and other pertinent information requested by zoning enforcement staff. Paragraph C, the zoning enforcement officer is to obtain approval from the designated registered sanitarian at the Central Connecticut Health District and the fire marshal's office and other departments where appropriate prior to authorizing the accessory use. D, a lot, yard, court, or open area immediately abutting the principal food use that is under separate ownership may be used as an outdoor dining beverage area if the owner gives permission and if other requirements are met. Food uses must be allowed in the underlying zoning district. Paragraph E, pedestrian and vehicular travel ways are not to be impeded and physically accessible guidelines under the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act, US 42-USC 12102, et sec, I guess it's et sequitur, and other applicable laws are to be maintained. Paragraph F, permittees are to comply with the Liquor Control Act. Patio permits and liquor permit extensions may be required. Paragraph G, hours of operation to be until 9 p.m. unless otherwise requested and approved, with hours extended to 11 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. How much more do I have? Oh. Add to section 4B4, hospitality recreation use type uses, outdoor dining and beverage service as an accessory use. Subsection 1, by zoning permit in a town center, regional, commercial, office park, business park 2, and waterfront business park zoning districts. Subsection 2, by zoning permit in a town center zone, and subsection, there's no number, it just says subsection, by zoning permit in a regional commercial zone. I assume that's subsection 3. The very last line on. We have subsection 1, subsection 2, and then subsection with no number. I'm
Yes.
assuming that's 3.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to get on the record.
I'm following along on a different sheet.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone in the public who like to address commission on this proposed changes? Yep.
My name is Anthony Giuliano, owner of the Arch Sports Bar. I just think outdoor dining is a new thing and people really enjoy it, and I'm all in favor for this. I'm glad you're considering it. And what you're asking for, we basically have done the past 3 years in a row, and I don't think you're asking for anything too much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address to the commission on this changes, proposed changes to the regulations? Yeah.
Hi, Vinnie Carbone, Carbone's Prime, Rocky Hill. I concur. It's become an integral part of our business, and thank you for addressing it, and hopefully we'll continue on with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address to the commission on this proposed regulation changes? Seeing none, Commissioner Glico?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note for the record
Okay.
that we did receive a comment from Francis Del Mastro of Bar Baja Tequila Taqueria, that he believes outdoor dining is critical to the bottom line of our restaurant in Rocky Hill. That's all he said.
Thanks. Thanks for the inclusion in the record.
What restaurant was that?
Bar Baja.
It was on here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And go ahead. You have questions?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Commissioner Hassett?
Also, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
I'm good. Basically, this is just making permanent what we've been doing.
Yes,
for the
it's
last
going to
3
be
years.
the same process. Well, it's going to require a zoning permit, whereas it was not automatically approved, but it was, had to be approved within 10 days under the executive orders. And it's really straightforward, allowing restaurants to use available outdoor space, and what we're just trying to protect vehicle traffic from the people that are seated outside and maintaining accessibility, accessible routes. Yeah.
That's it.
Mr. Robbins?
I don't have any questions, and we also have the 2 letters to the record from CROG and the Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments that find no conflict.
So maybe you can, after we are done, maybe you can just add, I think we should add all the comments that we received, so.
Sure. From the Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments, dear Mr. Desai, the commission has referred the proposed zoning regulation change for review pursuant to Section 8-3B of the Connecticut General Statutes. The regulation proposal concerns the establishment of regulations that will allow outdoor dining and beverage service as an accessory use to a licensed food use. The regulations will codify a process that already exists by virtue of executive orders issued by the governor during the COVID-19 pandemic. These findings are provided for the Commission's public hearing, which is scheduled to commence on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. Intermunicipal impacts. Review of the petition by staff of the RPC suggests that little adverse intermunicipal impact to the neighboring River Cog towns of Cromwell and Portland will result if the regulation change is approved and adopted as proposed. Under executive orders issued during the recent pandemic, the town already allows for the proposed uses. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed regulation amendment. If the commission has any questions regarding this review or on any other land use issue, please don't hesitate to contact them. Then from the Capital Region Council of Governments, CROG, basically, that's the one. Commissioners, receipt is acknowledged of the above reference referral. Notice of this proposal is transmitted to the Policy and Planning Division of the Capital Region Council of Governments under the provisions of Section 8-3B of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended. Comment, the staff of the Regional Planning Commission of the Capital Region Council of Governments has received or has reviewed this zoning referral and finds no apparent conflict with regional plans and policies or the concerns of neighboring towns. Public hearing date has been scheduled for 3/15/2023. In accordance with our procedures, this letter will constitute final CROG action on this referral. Questions concerning this referral should be directed to Jacob Knowlton.
Thank you. Commissioner Brescia, do you have a question?
We need this for all our fine restaurants.
No editorial.
You have a question?
during the
I
hearing.
do. This question is for staff. In the previous discussion of a restaurant, parking was a major concern. How does parking get amended in this procedure? Because they're utilizing parking spaces to have this outdoor dining, which I understand, but are we changing our regs?
We will probably be reviewing the regulations, and there's also been an effort in reducing parking requirements statewide. So likely, we will be reviewing them. I will say, during the pandemic, I understand conditions were different as far as how many people were traveling and out and about, but we didn't see any issues with overcrowded businesses.
So what has happened is, as you know, outdoor dining has been approved for the last couple of years, and it has been
Totally agree,
going
yeah.
on. So I think, and as David is saying, we have a track record of,
Yeah, our current parking regulations may be a bit conservative, requiring excess parking. So there's currently a push to minimize impervious coverage and also reduce parking requirements for across the board.
Okay.
So we'll be looking at that.
and I think this is coming from,
This coming from,
State,
right, it's coming from the state. Basically,
Right.
as Kim mentioned in her memo, that effective May 1st, the state's basically requiring municipalities to allow it. What we're doing is setting up a process, rather than just, somebody can just set up a tent and go. We have a process, if approved, we have a process in place that ensures that the tents and any electrical gets inspected by the building officials, a plan gets reviewed for safety and appropriateness of location, and the accessible, particularly the ADA access ways are maintained.
okay. So I think, so this is going to be, I think, through permit, so just staff review, right? Is that
It's going to, right, it would be staff review of the issuance of a zoning permit.
zoning permit? Do you see any clarification as to, when, any request should come to the, commission? Would there be any instances where, it's a mixed-use development and now they're coming back?
There may be, well, these are kind of like pop-up
Yep,
type outdoor dining, seasonal. They come down in the winter, they go up in the spring and summer. Then you have other establishments, like Tavern on Three, that incorporated outdoor dining when they got their approval. Some places may still seek to have a more formal, I think the OC restaurant came before you for approval for outdoor dining as well,
right.
for patio-type
Right.
area. So it'd be like a site plan modification. If
Yeah.
they wanted to have a more formal one, that would be a modification to the site. The only other issue is music. That's dictated by the liquor permits, the type of liquor permits they have, which indicates the type of music they have. That's not going to expand into the outside area. That's for what they have for approval now, unless they have an outdoor area with approval.
Yep. Okay, don't have any further questions. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. So now we are going into
Call the meeting to order.
public comments section. Anyone in the public who like to address the commission on the items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, consent agenda, item 5.
I wanted to separate these two items.
Mhm.
Because the item A was tabled at the last meeting based on modifications or changes to the section about the minor modifications, and we haven't received, I don't know, have we received a copy of the changed minutes from January? No. So let's table, I'll make a motion to table item 5A until we get modified minutes from the January meeting, which may be clarified later in the meeting tonight.
Oh, okay, yeah, yep. Okay.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next motion would, motion to approve item 5B, minutes and actions from February 15th, 2023.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Not be shy,
Motion
folks.
passes. Item 6A.
Okay. Item 6A, special permit site plan application for JMM Properties LLC, proposing to convert an office building to a mixed-use building, office and 59 apartments, studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom with 10% affordable, with associated site improvements for property located at 1344 to 1360 Silas Deane Highway in an RC Regional Commercial Zone zoning district, ID 01-001, recessed from February 15th for inland wetland watercourse agency decision. So I'll make a motion to approve all of that.
I'll second that.
Will that do?
Yes, yes. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote on the approval of the special permit. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 6B, I think they have requested to table this item.
Yes, we received a request from the engineer to table it.
So I think, do we need, I think it has been tabled, right?
Yeah, we just don't have
Yeah.
to reopen it.
Item 6C.
I would suggest, and make a motion if necessary, that since we have some people here for items D and E, and possibly F, that we move item C down below item F, since that might take some time, just so people can get finished and go home.
Can I have a,
Okay, I'll move that we make a motion to move item 6C down to after item 6F.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Right, item 6D.
Okay, I'm still reading. Special permit application, Joseph Kim proposing a restaurant of approximately 3140 square feet with 37 seats for a portion of the property formerly occupied by a consignment shop and grocery store located at 2162 Silas Deane Highway in a C Commercial Zone District, ID 10-005. So I'll make a motion to approve all of that again with the following two conditions. Number one would be all pickups for delivery to other stores in the middle of the night or early morning happen through the front door, not the rear door. And the second condition would be to work with town staff for suitable dumpster and waste oil storage locations.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
It's pretty straightforward. The only two issues that came up during the hearing were noise in the back of the building, and this would eliminate 99% of that, I hope.
So we have applicant here, so hopefully if you can please take care of that, so we don't get any future complaints or anything, because that is part of a condition, so.
No, don't address the, yeah.
Right, I mean, yep. So I just want to make sure that applicant is here while, we are discussing these and he understands. So I think we have second, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Item 6,
Excuse me.
E.
Item 6E, zone change application proposing to change the zone on the following properties from a C commercial zone to an RC regional commercial zone. Peter Patel, doing business as Travelers Motor Lodge General for 1760 Silas Dean Highway, ID 04-436. Ron Lyman, president of REL Incorporated for 24 Sutton Road, ID 04-440. 26 Sutton Road, ID 04-547, and 1750 Silas Dean Highway, ID 04-437, and Ron Lyman, member Sam Center LLC for 1610 Silas Dean Highway, ID 04-439, and 1720 Silas Dean Highway, ID 04-438. So I will make a motion to approve
Second.
that application.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along. Item 6F, proposed zoning regulation amendment, Town of Rocky Hill proposing to add section 4C to 8, permitted accessory use to restaurants for several non-residential zones. See item 2C on this agenda. Excuse me. I will make a motion to approve that proposed zoning regulation from the Town of Rocky Hill.
Second.
All right, all in any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Okay. I need a break. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, now we're at actually item 6C, which is moved past item 6F. Discussion, former Connecticut Foundry property, Riverfront Future Partners, minor modification on properties known as 55 and 65 Glastonbury Avenue, ID 10-160 and 161, and 125, 154, and 205 Meadow Road, ID 10-324, to and including 10-327. Now, the reason this is on the agenda is that there's been talk around town, and I'll say it that way, that there were some minor modifications approved sometime between either August and September of last year and January, and it's never been brought to our attention, and we don't know the nature of the minor modifications, and if they were indeed approved, they should have been brought to the commission at the next regularly scheduled meeting. So I don't know. This is just a clarification where we stand on this and whether or not we decide that maybe it's not a minor modification.
It's my understanding that the town planner, Kim Ritchie, did approve a minor modification. I don't have the specific date available right now. However, it's also my understanding that that the chairman, I'm not sure if it was the whole commission or the chairman, was notified by her of that. As you know, it's kind of a fluid situation with me filling in here now, so I may not have all the details. But it was of her opinion that it met the minor modification criteria as spelled out in the regulations.
And we have, I think, staff asked for, as we had asked for, the legal opinion. So do you want to read through that?
Right. The town manager did reach out and to the town attorney for a legal opinion, and I provided you a copy with that email tonight. I don't know if you'd like me to read it, or?
Yep, yeah.
Okay.
For the record, yep.
Basically, it begins with a message from the town manager to the town attorney saying, back in December, Kim Ritchie approved what she considered a minor modification for the Foundry redevelopment plan. Now the PZC would like to know if they have the authority to overturn her approval. Parentheses, no Mylar plans with modifications have been filed yet. What do you think? So the response, there was quite a question to clarify from the attorney. Was it a minor modification of a site plan that was part of a special permit approval? I'll take a look at the regs and see what the authority is. So he cites the two sections basically out of the regulations, minor changes in an approved and signed site plan may be approved by the town planner or other commission designee when in the discretion of the town planner or other designee. Such changes do not significantly affect the overall layout, design, density, impact, or nature of the approved site plan. The town planner or other designee shall report the approval of minor changes to an approved site plan to the commission at their next regularly scheduled meeting, and the modified plans shall be signed and filed in accordance with Section 9.c.6. Minor changes shall include, but are not limited to, A, minor grading changes due to field conditions that do not significantly impact drainage patterns, B, minor changes in pavement or pavement markings, C, relocation of underground utilities, or location. D, location and screening of utility equipment. E, location of directional or informational signage. F, substitution of plant species due to availability or disease. And G, any other minor technical change that does not materially detract from the original development concept. And then cites number 4, whenever a change to an approved site plan is determined to be a major change by the town planner or other designee, a formal amendment shall be submitted to by the applicant to the commission for its consideration for subsequent approval and signing. Major changes shall include, but are not limited to, A, a change in use, B, substantial reduction of the landscaping or open space, C, expansion, demolition, or reconstruction of any structure or building. D, additional signage other than a directional or informational signs. E, significant changes in grading so as to affect the drainage system. And F, any other change that may be construed to detract material from the original development concept. So he goes on to say that these are the standards for site plan modifications in the regulations. It looks like the town planner is the one who makes the call in the first instance. The regs don't really discuss what happens if the commission disagrees with the determination of the planner, other than I suppose they could refuse to sign and file the modified site plans and require a formal amendment instead. Again, the regs don't seem to grant that authority to the PZC, since it says the plans shall be signed and filed. In Weathersfield, when it was a close call, the planner generally ran it by the chairman to avoid this type of situation.
So I see two issues involved here. In paragraph 4 that you read, that was considered a major change, shall include but are not limited to A, a change in use. There's a building, I think it's the most southerly building, that was supposed to be, I forget the term used, a maritime center.
It was like a clubhouse type?
No,
Or
like a public,
Okay.
they called it a maritime center, I believe. It was for general use. And I think we're talking about an approval that took place 10 years ago. And and now it's going to be a pool house. That, to me, to most people, would be a change in use, because there wasn't a pool originally proposed in the original approval. So adding the pool, I believe, see, this is why getting a really definite, specified change that was requested should come to us, or at least be explained to us. We don't have that. I believe that there wasn't a pool originally, and the now pool house was called the Maritime Center. So that's a change of use, and it's also the addition of a pool, which, in my mind, is not a minor modification. So that's my one concern. And the other one is that whenever this was approved, whether it was December, originally the email we got implied that it was approved in September or early October. These changes should have come to us at the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is in the regulations. And we did not get that. And that's why we have this debate and this confusion about what exactly is going on there. So that's the reason I asked to have this on the agenda and have us discuss it. So I'm not putting you on the spot. Well, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You're just the punching bag.
And I wasn't here 10 years ago for the beginning of it, and I know there's been some iterations to the plans in the last 6 years that I have been here. I believe Kim had prepared a memo as far as the basis of her decision.
We
At the last
received a memo
meeting, or
that wasn't
before?
even discussed at the January meeting. It wasn't even part of the meeting. It was just on our table. That didn't even come up as part of the discussion, which is the reason I wanted the minutes changed, because it implied that we discussed it, but we didn't. So we got something, but that goes all the way back to September. That didn't say anything about there being an approval or when it happened or anything, or actual specifics. And then we got unfortunately, it was a tiny little, like a B-sized drawing that was virtually impossible to read, and it didn't show the changes.
Yeah, all we
new one to the
got
old
was
one.
the electronic drawing, which we got it via email and printed it out to look at, but we never received formal, full-size plans for that. And it was, the question was asked, is this a minor modification? And she had stated that it was, based on that email conversation. I would have to get some timeframes and look at the previous plans. I'm not familiar with the Maritime building.
Yeah,
I think,
But I think going from memory, felt that it was actually a reduction in the intensity. There was more units, but less. I think the parking was reduced. That was rearranged. I'd have to get the full list, the full complete list of changes from plan to plan, but it was of the impression that it was less intensive and no significant change to the buildings, aside from the swimming pool, and I'm not up to date on that.
Yeah, and I'm just going off my memory, which is a lot further back than yours. So that's the whole crux of the matter here, is what was proposed as a change and what was approved. And, the public has to know this too. We've got that thing, it was like a 16-hour public hearing over 4 or 5 months.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
Yeah, and there were all sorts of conditions of approval, and now we're getting changes that the public isn't even aware of, and it just, to me, it should be more upfront on what's going on there and get it clarified. Now, I know you can't do that tonight, but we should probably work on getting that.
I think we can work on those and get those details. But I think the bottom line still comes down to is, what are we going to do about that? I think that's, that's the bottom line, right? We have regulations. Staff made the determination. We can go through, discuss it hours and hours, but at the end, it comes down to is us as a P&Z, what are we going to do, or what authority we have to do what, right? To either overturn, how do we do it? That's why, we ask for legal opinion as to, hey, what can be done?
Yeah.
I think we need to define first what is a minor change and what is a major change. And we don't have that information because we don't have the Mylars or whatever documents. Maybe we need to get all the information first so that we can see and all come to terms with what is a minor and what is a major change.
But say we come and say, hey, this was a major change.
Then it.
Well,
what do we do at that time?
Yeah.
That is that's the question. I mean, we can, as I said, we can discuss it. I mean, I have no issue with that. Like, we can see what the changes are and all that stuff. But what is the end result? I mean, the end goal is to see what we can do with that determination. Right?
We don't know what specifically, we haven't seen. I know people have been talking about it. Some of the buildings are higher. There's bus parking, there's more units. The building, I keep calling it the back, the southern part of the property. The use has changed. They've added a swimming pool. We don't have any of that on paper.
Yes.
It's just rumor or.
I
is-
mean, the fact that it's come to our attention from the public,
Yep.
to me in itself, is meeting the definition as significant because it's coming in the wrong direction. It's coming from the wrong direction. It should have been known to us and addressed by us
Yes.
so early on that we're not the secondhand source of
Yep.
information. But I got a question here for the email from Richard Roberts on February 20th. He defines the standards for site plan modifications and the regulations. Is he referring to our standards and our regulations?
Yes, we have standards, I'm trying to track them down, where it defines the minor modification, and major modification.
Because what I'm seeing here is the way this is written, we might need to revisit. Can we modify standards, or are these state boilerplate?
No, these are our regulations.
I'm
so-
going to propose that we
you know.
revisit this entire.
Yeah, these are
section
specific
and
to our
rewrite the
regulations.
These are our regulations, so we can.
Because what it says in this paragraph number 3 here doesn't neatly line up with what the definition of significant change is in 4, because it says within the discretion of the town planner that such changes do not significantly affect the overall layout, design, density. We know it's more dense. Impact or nature and certain characteristics of the, and so it's, but then when you go down here, major changes shall include but are not limited to a change in use. I mean, it's still residential. There was a building that was changed, but what it's saying up here doesn't really line up with what it's saying up here. So,
They conflict with each other.
yeah, I mean, it does say expansion of any structure or building. Well, an increase in density and increase in the number of units is an
And-
expansion.
And I
so-
think this happens when incidents like this happens, now we are thinking about all this stuff, right? I mean, this has been there for ages. And if you recall my question before, in the application that we approved for sitting, for outdoor sitting, I asked like, okay, when they have to come to commission, at what time, if it's part of subdivision, these, or
Yeah.
mixed use and stuff. So that's what my goal was, to try to figure out when they should come to the commission and under what, and whether it's clear, right?
I think sections 3 and 4,
Those-
paragraphs
those-
3 and 4 here should be. Oh, I'm sorry. I think sections 3 and 4 here we should review it and possibly clarify what all these little
They're-
terms mean in the.
Right, they're within section 9.C.6, which is on page 145 of the regulations.
Yeah, I know. Well, what we have here on this page.
Right, it's the same,
Right
it's the
out of
it's the same
right out
thing,
of
but
the
I'm
regulations.
pointing out what section they are in our regulations. It
Yeah,
was a
and we
question.
should, we should ask that we revisit this, or revisit the wording of these two paragraphs.
Right. So.
And clarify it so this doesn't happen again.
So again, what I'm saying is, we have a situation. However, our existing regulation, as the attorney pointed out, it's not clear, and it doesn't, it's, what I read is like, it doesn't give P&Z authority to bring back, right? So that's what the issue is. Like, for me, I mean, we can discuss this at every meeting, but the end goal, end result is if we can't do anything, what are we, Yes, it's good to know what the
But
changes are.
But we can rewrite the regulations
Yes,
and clarify it.
Yes,
Yeah, I
but,
mean,
in this
we kind
particular
of have
case-
two
But on
issues
thi-
here.
yeah,
I think what we need is everything in front of us to define what has changed, as Nancy had discussed earlier. The other thing of note, if you read through number 3, the minor changes revolve around the exterior of a building. They talk about anything on the exterior would be considered minor. Anything going on the inside of the building, any type of change,
Well, the height of the building.
that's the building.
Yeah.
They're referring to grounds.
Yeah.
Referring to drainage, signage, marking on parking lots, minor.
Minor, yeah.
this, what we're talking about, does not qualify as a minor change. Therefore, it heads into something other than a minor change.
Again,
That's
I
the way
won't,
I
I
look
won't
at it.
qualify it. I think we don't have information, but what I'm saying is there are a couple of things. One is the changes that we don't know, that we need
In front of
side by
us.
side, right? The second issue is, can P and Z do anything about it?
We don't know. Possibly we
do.
can. If they change,
It's
if
a
a
major
building was
change.
originally 2.5 stories and now it's 3 stories, that's a major change to me.
But it says.
Not a
But-
minor change.
But the
But-
attorney's response
The
is that.
attorney's response, you have
It
to
looks like
look
the
at.
town planner is the one who makes
Right.
all the call in the first instance. The regs don't really discuss what happens if the commission disagrees.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, what are we going to do after we find out all these things?
He says here, if the Planning and Zoning is adamant, the applicant would have to file an amendment to the site plan and have it approved under section 4.
And we don't even
Refuse to
have,
sign,
we don't even have
file,
the date and
And
details
modifies,
of the approval.
modifies site plan and require a formal amendment instead.
Yeah.
We might have to do that, but I would like to see if
I
there
think a timeline would be appropriate, and all the changes pertinent to what was going on would be very advantageous for everyone to have in front
To
of them.
just,
Yeah.
so
And then
maybe.
and Mr. Chairman, I understand what you're saying in
Yep.
terms of where do you go after that, but I think first things first, let's have that in front of us. Maybe it won't even come to a head, maybe it won't be an issue, but at least let's address one thing first, and then decide what we can do and if anything can be done.
It could very well be. You know, my feeling is I've seen what the differences are, and in some cases they are extremely minor. In other cases they are on the borderline. But the other thing that concerns me is all this was done in a vacuum. And we didn't hear about it until the very end. It was never discussed with us, and even when it was approved, if it was approved, we weren't told at the next regular meeting. At least that's what I suspect, because I don't know when it was actually approved. And, you know, the whole process, I gotta be nice. The whole
Well, again,
process.
that's
I
where-
think it's-
messed up.
Again, and kind of following up, that's why a timeline, I think, is a critical point.
Okay.
So,
I mean, from an administrative law point of view, there was a failure to follow the procedure. And by de facto, maybe that administrative faux pas could result in
Disqualification.
disqualification of the approval and then opening it up to,
Well, we need to be transparent, so we just need to get all our facts together first.
so
That would be that.
why don't we do this? We have like the timeline of what happened. Because I know there were a lot of emails back and forth and stuff like that, as you were mentioning. So maybe we figure out what happened. You know, and what was reviewed, and I think we can add the decision that, you know, the staff made, why this was minor versus major, right?
Explain.
And just explain what the changes are,
Okay.
right?
In
So,
comparison to the latest plan that was,
to the change.
right.
To the change when we said it's a minor change. So at least we have that comparison.
Do we need the attorney to question the next procedure?
No, so let's see, I think, let's go through that, let's see what we have. And we will determine as a commission whether it's a minor or major or it's a gray area or whatever. And then we take the next step and say, you know, what do we do? So,
Okay,
all right,
Thank
so
you.
it's,
okay.
next item.
Item 7A, zoning enforcement.
Our spring season of, or seasonal
Cleaning.
complaints are beginning. We are, as you know, a little short-staffed these days,
Yep.
covering
Budget.
all three now, and so I'm behind a little bit on pursuing some complaints, but they haven't been anything too serious. Obviously, if something very serious comes in, I would address it immediately, but some nuisance complaints that I'm looking at, and the seasonal ones.
Yeah, what I want to do is, at least if there is something, at least discuss those. I know before Kim used to have like a printed
Spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And we should just get that, and you can just highlight, what you worked on or what were addressed. So, process-wise.
We've expanded to a box of complaints versus a spreadsheet, but a lot of them have been wrapped up, so.
Yep. So at least procedure-wise, we are aware of, we are talking about, we don't, I just want to make sure that going forward, we follow certain things and, minor modification.
You want to bring that up? I'm joking.
Do not have any.
Okay, so again, what I like to do is going forward is if there are any that has been approved, either we have, copies of what was approved, or maybe just, we can keep a spreadsheet of what was approved and, so,
Because the chairman should at least be informed, right? I mean, I think that's in there as a minimum.
Yep.
Chairman.
I think we
Well,
should all be.
particularly on the
informed.
minor mods, that the chairman or the secretary will be signs plans
yep.
after that decision's made.
Plan implementation committee, so I think our next meeting is April 5th. So, I think we have discussed what happened at the last meeting, the last couple of times. Legislation, anything?
Nothing to report.
Nothing. Communications, I like to,
Not to interrupt, can I just, before we get too far in zoning enforcement, one of the people speaking today complained or made a comment about garbage being picked up at 3 a.m. Is that something that is acceptable?
No, we have a noise ordinance that addresses
zoning.
dumpster deliveries. That's not uncommon to get complaints from the residential area that abut the businesses on Silas Dean Highway. We had issue last year with Stepney Place dumpster, or it was actually the Taco Bell dumpster was being emptied early, and they worked with the hauler to change the time. Happens randomly, if somebody's ahead of schedule or behind schedule and they hit a site earlier, but that's handled through the noise ordinance.
Yeah, that's not a zoning issue.
Pardon me?
That's not a zoning enforcement issue.
Well, right, but it falls, get to deal with those too.
so under communication, I want to acknowledge the receipt of the lawsuit for the record, right?
Yes,
have
we
to
did,
do
we
that,
did
so-
receive an appeal of the denial of the vessel application on Main Street. And I'm currently putting the record together for the attorneys.
So I think the process is, we just.
Right, the process is, you're
Acknowledge
gonna
the
wait.
receipt.
Yeah, well, they also, if you're not aware, they did appeal the wetlands decision on the same site, preparing the record for that as well. Basically, they're staggered by when the decisions were made, which is like
Yep.
a week or week and a half. So the reply leaves later in April, and for this commission's decision, it might even be May, for our attorney to respond,
Yep, okay,
and then they'll be filing briefs after.
all right.
Does it have to go in sequential order? I mean, wetlands first and then?
Yeah. there's a time
I don't
frame.
know if they're gonna end up merging them, or they could merge.
But I think that's, I don't want to get into that, we just want to acknowledge and that's it.
Yeah. But it did happen, so I'm addressing
Yeah.
those as well. Yeah.
Any other communications? Anything we do?
The communications.
All right, approved bills, we don't have any bills. I motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?